Rothlesberger. I love that name. Any relationship to the quarterback out of Pennsylvania?
So I get this question sometimes, and so I always say I'm close enough to get asked, but not close enough to get tickets. So we're distant cousins, but nothing close.
You are
So,
you are really? Your cousins?
yeah, so his family's from Northern Ohio, and then I'm originally from the mid Michigan area, so not too far away.
Okay, awesome. I always wanted to ask that question. So let me just give you a proper edification here, all right? Because I know that you guys you're doing incredible things, you and your lovely wife. Congratulations on your baby. So Fred is out of Texas. He's an agency director. He's a three-time winner of the Spirit Lifter Award, and in 2022, Top Air Recruiters 2023 Outstanding Leadership Award, which I've seen you're growing and growing and growing, man. It's incredible. But what's most impressive, the reason why I called him on the call is we're going to go over this slide deck that he did. If you missed the call on the accountability call, it's really cool to set goals now. But I really want him to talk about the resets. He's got over 400 resets, 400. And that's people that are already your clients, and you're just maximizing profitability. So we're going to dive into that. And then over 100,000 in commissions just by resetting agents this past year. 100,000 resets. So those aren't leads, these are resetting appointments. So welcome to the call, Fred. We're excited to have you on, and the floor is yours. And if you could just share just a quick story of your background, what
Mhm.
attracted you to Symmetry, and then what you did before Symmetry, and then yeah, just go ahead and take it away, man.
Man, I'm super excited to be here. There's so many, and I know so many of the leaders on this team, and as I was before I started Symmetry and then getting into here, I looked up to so many of you. And so Fred Rothlesberger, like you said, agency director, direct to my wife Gabby in more ways than one. But we're in the Pappas Wayland hierarchy, and my wife started in 2017. So she had one job for about 6 months out of college, and then really realized she didn't want to work for anybody else. So she started here in 2017, which was around the same time that we started dating. And so I got kind of a front row seat to being on the outside as a supportive spouse. And I had put it in the chat, but I remember she was kind of struggling here. She wouldn't have been an SNA or a rising star. And she was actually getting ready to quit. She was starting to look at other jobs, but these dang people on the calls kept talking about conference. And she had bought her ticket early, which is what your leaders were talking about today. And she's like, all right, let me just go. Let me just go, see what this is about, give it a shot. And she got to see rock stars like Sean Kim and other leaders that first conference. And all of a sudden she went from 5 apps in 5 months to 17K the next month and became a top producer within 6 months. And so like that's really how powerful these conferences are. For myself, I was that supportive spouse. I really have a bad life insurance resume. So I went to school, got a geology degree, paid a school to lick rocks. I went into the oil and gas industry, worked on oil rigs for about 7 years. And after about a decade of that and being through three downturns and just super unhappy with my job, I was like, what am I doing? I looked at Gabby and she's building this thing here. I was like, why don't, she's doing this for us. Why don't we hop in and do it together? So I actually left my kind of six-figure career, the only thing I thought I would ever do, and hopped in June of 2021. We've been doing it ever since then. And yeah, I think it's something when you were talking about the resets, for us, and then I'll kick it back to you with where we want to go. At the end of 2023, there was like a national call, which is why it's so important to be on these. And we saw that kind of our advanced markets and things like that were about 30% of Symmetry. And so I was like, all right, if I put on my Frank Brenes hat and I'm doing business development, if the company I'm a part of, this is about 30% of the revenue, well, it was 0% for us. And so in early 2024, started the process of, well, first I put it off. And I was like, which of these agents is going to go be my SME, right? I'm looking at them, identifying them. And at the end of the day, I sat down with Gabby. I go, I got to pick up this flag. And so I started training, did the ride-alongs, went to the boot camps, and became an SME for our team. We launched that in September of 2024. And then, like you said, since then, we just really want to make resets a part of the process for all of our agents on every single appointment, right? And I think one of the things that's led to, having, I think it's 400 and something resets on my calendar this year is just keeping it simple. I think sometimes, and we can dive more into this, agents, you feel like you're talking about apples, and then if you ask about resets, you're switching the topic to oranges. But if you just keep it simple along the line of what you're already asking, pretty much 95 to 98% of the people you're talking to are either looking to get out of debt, looking to create a retirement, or looking to protect that retirement they have. And so if you just keep it simple, ask a couple questions to identify those needs, and then pivot afterwards to a reset, that's all it is. Like I personally don't want any of my agents giving me the electric bills from their client for the last 12 months. Like I don't need that. I just need to know that there's a need, just like with mortgage protection, there's a need that they want to get out of debt or they want to grow and protect their retirement, and we'll take it from there. So
Awesome, man. Well, I want to unpack this. There's so much to unpack, and honestly, um, I love you. I love your goal setting, but the resets. I think we got to have you on for another call because we really need to. We're doing it, but not as much as we want to, right, Sean and Frank? We can use it more, right? It's a muscle that you have to exercise and do daily. But I'm gonna just dive into this here now. Who did you learn obviously you went to advanced market training class, but who would you say, what agency did you kind of emulate that took you on as a mentor to learn how to do resets? Who would you
yeah,
give
I
credit
think
to?
it was kind of a combination for me. There was obviously we had, a subject matter expert outside our agency before I started. And so it was kind of a combination of like, I wanted to not do things that weren't working. And I wanted to kind of figure out those people that it was really working for them. And so for me, a couple of the biggest things that our agents didn't feel like they were getting was communication, right? And so it would be they would do a reset, they'd get super excited, they'd be on the initial call, it's going to be a big annuity, and then 3 months go by and they've heard nothing from the SME or that. And so one of the first pillars that I said is like, no matter if it's an appointment, a missed call, whatever it is, I'm always going to update that agent with just a quick voice message. Hey, here's how this went. We're right in the app, or here's how this went. We rescheduled, just to keep them in the loop to know that I'm working for them. And then the second thing for me was, I was looking, and my wife Gabby and our agency in general is really good at issue paid, right? I think we're like 82, 83% for the agency for the year, and Gabby's been that way her career. And so I was seeing a lot of really low issue rates on these advanced market products. And with all the developments, I'm like, I don't feel like it needs to be that way. And so those were kind of two of the things, Stefan, that like I wanted to change. But then I started looking, I'm like, who are these advanced market people that are just keeping it simple? And so people like Joel Edelson, Derek Fitzgerald, and that was really what I did. And this could be with resets, or this could be with anything in your business. Figure out those people that you want to emulate. I walked into the advanced market boot camp, and I knew Derek was going to be there. And so instead of taking a seat, I stood by the door. I'd never met Derek in my life. I waited for him and his wife to walk up, and I said, "Hi, I'm Fred Rothlesberger, and we're going to be best friends." I go, "Where are we sitting?" And so for 3 days, I just absolutely picked his brain. And if there was any way I could help, I was also offering that. But through that intentional association, I got to get so much more value out of it, which I think decreased that learning curve. And so that was really the combination for me, was like, hey, what's not working in my business? And then let's look at who has that fix and kind of partner with them to kind of learn what actually works.
Sure. All right. So communication with your downlines and then getting issue paid. Now we're able to do that with now Forcers has that live well product. Have you used that for
Yeah.
DFL?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. A lot of live well. And, for me, it's something where, part of that process, just like with mortgage protection, you want to be making sure that you're asking the right questions and you're submitting something that, as far as has a plan to get issued. And so I think that's really helped. I think year to date, I'm at like 97% issue paid for all advanced markets. And so it's something where, for me and for the agent, I don't want to just submit something and then all of a sudden that doesn't go through.
Sure.
And so as far as kind of the business of being an SME, that's how I've ran it. As far as for the agents, which I think is the most impactful,
Sure.
is making sure they know when to ask the reset questions, what they're looking for, and then also just those simple questions to keep it simple in line with what they're already doing. Because if it's easy, you keep it in front of you, you're going to do it. Yeah. And the one thing I would say is, if you're on this call, like, there's one reason like you wouldn't want to do resets. And so please don't do resets if you want to have an extra 30, 50, 100 grand in your bank account this time next year. Like if you just don't want more money and you don't want to better serve your clients, please don't do resets. But if you want to better serve your clients, you want to have stickier business, you want to help your clients get out of debt, you want to help them protect their retirement and help them generationally in addition to mortgage protection, life insurance, and have more profitability in your business, then you could do resets. But if you don't want extra money, like I wouldn't do them. So
Okay.
That's answered like a dad.
Fred,
In
I
reverse
love it.
psychology.
I love it. So look, so walk me to, okay, the sale is done. How do you train your agent from that point on to identify a reset, someone with assets? Because sometimes they get some reset appointments that there's just no assets, right? They want to be debt free, but they're unemployed and there's just no money there, right? It's not a qualified reset, right? So how do you train your agents? How do you train them to do that from the beginning? Right, not later on, because from my experience, it's easier to learn the stuff right away than to try to learn it after. Is that correct? Is that a fair assumption?
yeah, 100%. And so I think one of the biggest things, and I'll share my screen so y'all can take
Yeah.
screenshots. I think it's a two-part process with resets during appointments. And this is a big thing. If you haven't thought about it like this is going to be a big change for you. In
Screenshot
your
it.
in your appointment, during that appointment, you're not asking the reset questions and doing that. They came to you for mortgage protection or life insurance. What you're doing in that initial part of the appointment is you're just planting the seed, right? If I'm doing mortgage protection, I'm probably asking them, all right, how much is that payment y'all making each month? And then very simply, hey, are y'all making any overpayments? Ah, okay. So y'all are trying to pay that down faster. Okay. So it sounds like getting out of debt's important to you. Okay. We're going to come back to that. I appreciate you sharing that with me. Right. I just planted that seed. Or, hey, I'm trying to figure out what life looks like tomorrow if you don't come from the home from the hardware store. So maybe it's, hey, I know you're not intending to use this for that, but like, if you didn't come home tomorrow, like what other resources could possibly be used, that your family could use to pay off the mortgage? Things like a 401k, IRA, money under a suitcase, anything like that they could use.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. So remind me when we're done. I have an idea or two that might be able to protect that. So, that would never lose a penny moving forward. So remind me when we're done. Remind me when we're done as a huge kind of like it ingrains that seed. I had an agent, he said that, ran the appointment, got Betty covered. 10 minutes later, he forgot. She calls him back and he's a younger kid. She's like, hey, whippersnapper, like you said you were going to remind me about protecting my retirement and then you forgot about it. Right. So you're just planting that seed during the appointment. And then you're going to continue on with that, whether it's a sale or a no sale. Just like we don't want to bring our wallet into a mortgage protection appointment, we don't want to bring what we feel is more valuable for that client into it as well. Right. Why are they here in the first place?
I think what you just said is key. If you could just repeat that about the wallet,
Yeah.
please repeat that. I want you guys, I want every single agent to take notes. Go ahead and say that
Put
again.
an echo. He needs to put an echo effect to that, please. That
Because
was
a lot of times well, go ahead. I'm not going to speak for you, Fred.
No,
I just
it's just more of, it's not an either or. Either their mortgage protection or their DFL or retirement, right? 97% of the people that you have coming to you, that first and foremost need is to get that mortgage protection and life insurance. And then we can also help them with the additional value. And so we planted the seed. What does that look like at the end? Now, whether this is a sale or a no sale, hey, Frank, now remember when you mentioned getting out of debt was important to you? I know you didn't originally ask about this, but I know you mentioned it's important to you. We actually have a whole division that's designed to educate our clients on how to do that faster and more efficiently than they probably could on their own. We have subject matter experts. That's kind of their wheelhouse who can really explain this. All my clients really enjoy speaking with them. They're going to help educate you on the possible solutions, and really whatever you do with that's completely up to you. I know, Sean, he's super busy, but I actually do have access to his calendar.
yeah, I'd love to talk to him. Yeah, I'd love to talk to him. It's possible.
And so I'm reminding them that this was important to them, or I'm reminding this to them because if you've asked those questions initially, they already have let you know, hey, there's an additional need here, right? And so I'm not getting super nitty gritty on that FIF. As you do more resets and you're on that initial call with the SME, you're going to learn some of those other questions to ask to kind of uncover a little bit better. But the biggest thing is getting this verbiage, printing these out, or putting them into your script, and just asking the questions every single time, because you never know what's going to come of that. I think I have some agents, they've done 2 or 3 and nothing's come of it, and I'm like, hey, just like when you ran 2 or 3 appointments, like let's get a pipeline going. You're going to get some wins. I also have other agents that have done 2 or 3 resets and they got 30 grand in their pocket, right? But neither one of that would have happened if they wouldn't have just asked the questions to identify those additional needs that the clients have.
Yeah, that's huge. That's great. Awesome. Frank and Sean, do you have any questions at the top? Because I want them to get to the slide deck, which you can watch a replay, but if you can, if you don't have any questions, I like for you to do that too. I know I'm kind of doing 2 things at once here, but I just I want people to leave with goals, with how to set goals. But any questions, Frank, Sean, that you may have for Fred?
Yeah, I mean, Fred, man, I just love hearing you going over this because this is like the tools that a lot of agents need to take their business to the next level. And you simplified it to where everybody can do this. So thanks for jumping on our call to do this. And I mean, I don't think I even had a chance to really meet you, Fred, in person, because when you go to these conference, there's 5,000 people. But yeah, we'd love to have a chance to meet you and Gabby in person and yeah, with Amanda.
Yeah, 100K in commissions just by asking
Yeah.
questions.
Wow.
I mean,
That's for the resetting agents. And that's 100K that like wouldn't have been in their pockets. And so
that's awesome, man. That is awesome. Yeah, Frank, any quick questions? I want him to get to the slide.
Yeah, I think what he said, I think it didn't echo, but you said don't spend their pocketbook. Like,
don't count their
I
money.
want you to elaborate on that because that's so important when we first start, we're rookies. We're like, oh, you start thinking it's you. It's like, wait a minute. So Fred, if you can, it's better that someone hears it from a third party than from us. So I want you to say that loud and say what you mean there.
yeah, so in the context of kind of coming on board, we are, and I'm actually going to talk about this here in a second as we finish up, but like we are going to bring in like our kind of relationship with money and how we feel about things. So like if I'm meeting with someone and they're looking for a full mortgage payoff, and for me, Hulu's expensive, but that full mortgage payoff for them is $300 a month. And so I'm scared that they're going to like laugh at me. So I don't even present the best option of what they're looking for. That's one aspect of it. In the aspect of kind of advanced markets, what I get sometimes is, agents will have a client and maybe they're older, maybe they've had some health conditions, and the only thing they can really get is guaranteed issue. And so they'll call me and be like, hey, I could present this, but like they're not going to see any value for 270 a month for 25,000. Like they're not going to go for it. And I was like, well, who says that? What if they've been searching for 3 years and you're the only person that's ever been able to offer that and get that there? Like we can do a reset afterwards, but you need to help this client with why they came to you. Right. And so it's something where don't bring whatever you feel is most valuable into this. Obviously, you're the expert, you're going to put together the options, but at the end of the day, you're going to present that, build that plan with the client for what makes most sense for them. And so, yeah, that was kind of the clarification on that, Frank, and I know for me, I've gone through that a little bit, but Gabby, like that was tough for her when she started. She had one job for 6 months. And to be talking to people that are making 100, 200,000, or she's presenting options for $300 a month. Like in her mind, she couldn't fathom that. So that was something she had to grow through as a professional to realize, hey, I'm going to work for you, and then here's the best of the best from all the companies we work with to help get you protected.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's thank you for saying it. I think when we transition into looking at it for what they wanted 300 as opposed to looking at it from the point of view of we're professionals, and once that bridge is built to the critical period plan, that's when you start seeing aces here, top producers. Once you have that realization, wait a minute, we are offering them a solution. Most 70-year-olds don't qualify for 300, but that is awesome, man. That's what I've seen here. All the top producers, guess what they're writing? 90% critical period.
Yeah. Also, hey, thanks for that slide deck, man. That's incredible. Appreciate you, Fred.
Yeah, and so I just want to mention real quick, I put the entire slide deck for my resets training, and for all the leaders on here, that's actually Quality HQ approved. And so it's gone through the vetting process, but that's going to go over kind of things to look for, different ways, whether it's off a dial, whether it's going back to your book of business, verbiage to be able to use, as well as some kind of easy examples for social media that have actually led to pretty big policies. I just put the actual screenshots on there that you can use as well.
Oh man, thank you. Well, who would like to see Fred back for FIF trading? Man, I would.
Maybe we'll have Fred for our 9 builders call tomorrow, man. Just explaining it if you can.
All right, Fred. Look at we have some time for that slide deck, okay? And I want you guys to kind of dive in on this, which I thought was super cool, man, because the dream is free, right? You can say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but there's a price to pay to, the journey, there's a price to pay. So I think that, that goal setting slide deck that you shared in the accountability call is huge, man. Can you kind of go through that?
Yeah, so I'll go through this, and obviously y'all know a little bit from what I've said about what I did. So, grew up in a small town, rural parents, went and licked rocks, got a degree, worked on oil rigs, and now I live in Texas. And so, why am I on this call today? I'm here to talk to you about relationships. Okay, and so stick with me here, because I want you to think of someone in your life. Have you ever had someone in your life who is maybe distant? They only reach out when they need something, who's hot and cold. One day they're kind of close to you, trying to control everything. The next day they disappear completely. Maybe they avoid real conversations. They get anxious when things get serious, and they never seem to trust you fully. Like, you can feel this person's tension, their guilt, their fear. It's like they're in survival mode all the time, reactive, disconnected, just going through the motions. And honestly, when you're around them, it feels draining, unpredictable, and unsafe. And so as I was kind of describing that person, obviously don't put their name, but if someone popped into your head that you have that relationship with, or you have had in the past, put a 1 in the chat. Like, if when I was going through describing that type of person, go ahead and put a 1 in the chat. I want to see if any of you guys were thinking of someone as I was going through. Okay. So we've all kind of thought about, or had someone in our life like that. And so now, pay attention, lean in. What if I wasn't describing someone else, but I was actually describing you? Your first reaction's probably, no, not me, Fred. I would never act like that. But you have. And the relationship I'm talking about is your relationship with money. Because money responds just like people do. If we're anxious, avoidant, or controlling, it pulls away. If we show up with trust, awareness, respect, it begins to flow back to us. Money is the only thing that every single person here, we all have some sort of money-related trauma, yet we're forced to interact and use it every single day. Right? Think about it. Maybe it started as a kid with the way your parents talked about money. I know my parents taught me it didn't grow on trees. Or maybe how they didn't talk about money. Maybe it was once you got to be an adult, that first big financial win or that first big financial loss that shaped your beliefs. We've all got stories like that. And so becoming aware of those experiences that are shaping how you react and deal with money every day, that's the first step, right? You got to think about it, reflect, write them down, because until you do, these old stories are sitting below the surface, running the show in your life. Okay, so let me ask you this. How many of you have been subconsciously letting your relationship with money sabotage the life you actually want to live? And we'll figure out, like, let's figure out if this is actually happening. Let's check this. Let's look at our money blueprint. Think about this. You don't have to put in the chat, just write it down. How much money did you make last year? Right? Think of that number. Now go back to 2023. How much money did you make in 2023? What about 2022? Are all those numbers about the same? Maybe not too different? That's not a coincidence. That's your internal thermostat, your relationship with money, keeping you at a familiar level. And so if we want to attract wealth, we have to heal that relationship first. Okay. So now that we've kind of looked inward a little bit, realize that maybe we are that person. Now let's look forward. So we're going to do this exercise together here in the next 7-8 minutes. And so if you don't have one, get out a notepad, and we're going to map out a new money story for 2026. And I know it's only the first half of November, but that's exactly why we're doing it now. So you can live into that story early, get comfortable with it, and start building your plan of action today. Okay. So let's map it out. I'm going to share my screen with you. All right. So if we want to get to the next level financially, what we're going to do is these are going to be short questions, but we're going to go through and we're going to answer these questions. First question. How much money do you want to make? Okay. That's the first thing. Keep saying you want to get rich, but does the universe or does money even know how much you want? Second question. Why do I want to make that? See, when I asked how much money you wanted to make, a number popped into your head. But underneath the surface in your subconscious were the reasons that you want to make that money. So we want to bring those to the surface. Why do you want to make that amount of money? Then just like a business plan, like Frank would teach you, we got to be specific. Now that I know why I want to make that money, what will I do with the money when I make it? Every single morning I have in my journal a declaration about how much money I want to make, by when, where it's going to come from, and what we're going to do with it. And then I talk about how grateful I am for that money and tell myself that I'm open to receiving. So that's the fourth one. When do I want to make it? So I know how much, why, what I'm going to do with it, and when I want to make it. This one might be tougher. What fears do I need to overcome? What do you think's holding you back? Maybe what I talked about earlier. There's going to be a couple things that'll come to mind. All right, what are those fears you need to overcome? Is it the phone? Is it asking for the business? Is it checking your pending? Reaching out to your mentor? 6, what do I need to learn? Everything you've learned your entire life up to this point has got you to exactly where you are. So if that number you wrote down is 2-3 times more money than you've ever made, you're gonna have to learn some things and grow in order to grow into the person that can attract that type of money. Along with that, maybe it's the fear part. Maybe it's the trauma that we talked about earlier. With whom do I need to connect? I told this on the accountability call as well. When I was going through this myself with a coach, there was this time and I could still remember everything. The smell. 12 years old, dropped off by the bus, walk up to my driveway, and my dad's work truck's not there. Go in the house, I'm like, hey, where's dad's work truck? Is he still at work? She's like, he's down to grandma and grandpa's. Why don't you walk down there and talk to him? So I live pretty close. It's about 100 yards. I walked down to my grandma and grandpa's, and we never needed anything, but we never had all we wanted. And so part of that was we had a family fish fry the weekend before, but we were the type of people where you don't just use the oil once. So my dad's like, grab this strainer. We're going to strain the oil so we can use it again. And as I'm kind of holding the strainer and he's pouring it in, he let me know he got let go of his job. And it was the first time in his life that it ever happened to him. And I think about that now as a father. My dad was my age when he had to have that conversation with his 12-year-old. And everything worked out. He got another job that was better paying a few weeks later, but that moment stuck with me. And so until I called him and just told him how much that had affected me growing up, I was never able to release it. And once I did, that amount of income I had made for 6 years almost doubled because I was able to process and heal through things that had stuck with me as a kid. Right? Number 8, what skills do I need to master? We talk about the accountability call where you have the counting what counts, your dials, your contacts, your appointments, your show rate, your close rate. Take a look at those. What do those look like the last 90 days? You have some of the most elite mentors and leaders to help you improve here at Symmetry. How much longer are you going to sit at an average 30 to 40% close rate? When you can pick up a call, hop on a Zoom, and learn from Frank, Sean, or Bo. Right? How much longer are you going to tolerate not improving your skills? If you don't know which skill to improve, that's why we reach out to our mentors, constant correction. Okay. Last one, as far as questions, and we're going to do a little bit of math. What actions do I need to take? What are the things you need to do to make the money story that you've just written out true? And that's why we're doing this now. How many people create their New Year's resolution on December 31st? Probably a lot. How many of those work out? Not a whole lot of them, right?
No.
That gym gets pretty empty the third week of January.
February, it's a ghost town.
Yeah. So that's why we're doing it now, right? All right. So I want to give an example of kind of this exercise. And so I want to see, maybe we're going to do 250,000. So if you happen to put 250,000, you can just let us know in the chat that was your number. You want to make 250,000 in 2026, but you never made that much, could feel a little bit like an elephant. There's an old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So if I want to earn 250,000 next year, that means I want to earn $20,834 a month. I want to earn $5,200 a week. 5,200, does Symmetry promote 5K weeks? Huh, okay. And then if I'm working 5 days a week, 1,041 a day. Wait, is that the average policy size here at Symmetry? Huh. A lot of similarities here as we're building this out. If I'm working 8 hours a day, it's $130 an hour. And so why did I give that hourly number? Because if you want to make 250,000 and you're doing tasks like mowing your lawn or any other task that's less than $130 an hour, you're taking away from this 250,000 and doing tasks you can hire out. Okay. So now we want to earn 250,000. How do we do that? This is not an exhaustive list. This is just something I came up with. Production, recruiting, resets. There's that word comes back. Referrals, case size, issue rate, bonuses, promotions, bookkeeping, and taxes. How many more years are you going to shove all your 1099s into TurboTax on April 14th before you get a professional to do it? So now we know it's just not, this, right? This is what most people think. If I want to make 250,000 at Symmetry, this is what I got to do. This is what it actually looks like when you start brainstorming and thinking about all the other areas, right? I'm earning income, right? The average millionaire, 7 streams of income. What if you could have all those streams of income within one system, one company? You have that here. But again, if I look at 30,000 from recruiting, What? I'm a team leader. I'm barely growing my team. Let's eat that elephant one bite at a time. What does this look like per month to earn 250,000 next year? You go out, you issue your 8, 10, 12K every month. You start building the team. You do your resets. You're helping clients. Are you asking them who else they know in their circle that can benefit from a conversation with you? What if you got out of your own head, didn't bring in your wallet, and your case size went up? You took that your issue rate from 70% to 80%, you just gave yourself a 10% raise. And whether it's the carriers, Symmetry, or your agency, if you're doing the right things, you're going to get bonuses. And also, if you're doing the right things, you're not at the same contract level January 1 and December 31st. And then once you learn what you can actually expense here in this business and you itemize those, you understand that you're probably overpaying in taxes as a business owner compared to what you should be. All of a sudden, I took this big dream from an amount that I've never made and I broke it down. And now all I got to do is follow through with those questions I just answered to go out and make 2026 different. That's what I got, Stefan. Want to make sure we stayed on time.
Brother, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. So much knowledge. Love it, man. Are you going to Iceland, by the way?
I'm not going to Iceland this year,
Oh,
no.
okay. All right. I was hoping to see you there, but I'll definitely see you on the next one, man, for sure. Thank you so
Oh,
much
we'd
for
love
the
to.
time, Fred.
Yeah, we'd love to have you and your wife, man.
Yeah.
Come on next time. I know you guys are busy. It'd be awesome to have you guys. So, by the way, Stefan, everybody show some gratitude down there. We're getting it right now.
Yeah.
Fred, you killed it. Thank you. Stefan, you killed it.
Awesome, brother.
Sean,
Appreciate your
what a
time.
great call, man.
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate this team. And I'll give you guys a fun fact. I don't know if he's on here, but our son is actually named after Bo Hirschfield.
What? That
Yeah.
is huge, dude.
Yeah, I got to hang out with y'all, Frank, and him in Hawaii. And
Right.
you get pregnant, you're having a baby, you start listing names, and then we just said the word Bo, and we're like, oh, yeah, we can see that.
Wait, was that in Maui, dude?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I did see like Bo. I'm like,
Wait a minute. That was in Maui, dude? That's crazy. That's
That's when the idea came to our heads. So
yeah, man. We love your wife and you, man. What a guys, listen, the cool thing is we go to these trips, not for it is beautiful and all that, but just to get to know these great people that are in the struggle with you. And it's so amazing the similarities and the aspirations. You're just hanging around people that are just so positive, that just believe in life, that want to give back. And it's never really about the money. I mean, I don't see that with you, Fred and Gabby. It's always about the quality time and how to give back. And you see his gifts, how God's blessed him with just giving back that knowledge. We're just so thankful for you, man. I mean, I can't wait to see you guys again. Anytime that we see you and and your wife, your family, it's always a reunion, like a family reunion. So we love you and thank you so much. Seven, thank you for that.
appreciate you, Fred. Appreciate you,
Yeah,
man.
man. Thank you.
Crushing it. Keep
Appreciate
it
it.
Yeah.
up.
Gotta,
Yeah,
gotta go to
Fred.
an interview. We'll see you
Yeah,
guys.
Fred, that was incredible. Thanks for pouring into our agents today. Wow, that was a great class, master class. And yeah, if you need anything from us, if you need us to jump on your call at any point, just give us a text and we'll be there.
I appreciate you guys. I'll see
Yeah,
everybody
all
out here
right.
tonight.
All right,
Okay,
brother.
thank you. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.